All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Sarah McAllister. I am the Senior Associate Director here in the Office of Alumni Career and Professional Development. We also have our Assistant Director, Nina Raffo, who will be all things tech. So if you have any issues, just feel free to shoot her a message. So today, this session is going to be a little bit different than previous professional development sessions. If you have been to those in the past, in a couple different ways. So one, it's going to be about 20 minutes of content. I'm going to introduce this concept of career mapping, and then 10 minutes of Q&A if you have them, if you have questions, and then I'm going to give you back your day. So let's jump right in. All right, so career mapping to gain clarity in your job search. What does this mean and how can you use it? So I'm going to give you a little bit of background before I go through today's session. I was introduced to this tool years ago. I attended a women's retreat on career fulfillment with my now really good friend, Lelia Galland. And she introduced this concept of career mapping. And I have to say, it not dramatically, it transformed the way that I looked at my jobs. And it gave me so much clarity. And fast forward, as a career coach, I use this tool a lot with our alumni who are at different kind of pivots or crossroads in their life. And so as you can see, we're going to talk about career mapping, how to get started, tips and strategies, and then what's next. So with that, I always forget, this session is being recorded and it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, which Nina will drop the link in the chat. So you can always go back to it. I also encourage you to check out our other videos on our YouTube channel. And if you are so inclined to subscribe, and then you will be notified when new recordings are uploaded. Okay, so what is career mapping? So career mapping is a tool that allows you to create a holistic view of your professional journey. You know, this isn't an original concept, like I said. You know, Lelia, my friend, she introduced it to me. I'm sure that you've done different iterations of this, but the way that I'm going to introduce this particular tool to you, I have, again, used over and over again with alums, and I find it really, really helpful. So a couple different ways you can do it individually, by yourself, in the comfort of your own home, or you can do it with a partner, a friend, a career coach. I would actually recommend that you do both. So I think it's really nice to spend some time and think about your own professional journey and then share that with someone. I think there's a lot of power. I've seen a lot of power in that sharing out of your experience, and also having it reflected back to you. And then the other thing, as you can see, is it provides clarity, especially if it's for everyone. Anybody can use the career mapping tool. I would say it's particularly helpful for anyone who's just feeling really stuck. You know, a lot of the conversations I have with alums that I use this tool with tend to look something similar to this, right? I have no idea. They say things like, I have no idea where I want to go from here. I don't know how my past experience can set me up for another job. Not very clear about transferable skills. Or if you're just like, I want to do something completely different, but I don't know how to even get started. Career mapping is a great way. Okay, so I'm going to just, again, walk you through. So first, I want you to think about your first significant job. And as you can see, there's some examples here. It does not have to be the first job that you have after college or even in college. Many alums that I've worked with have thought about that job that they had when they were 15 or 16 that just really resonated with them. So again, the key for this is significant to you. Okay, sorry. So significant to you, right? 1 second. All right. So once you have that first job that just kind of comes into your brain, then I need you to think about, how do you process information? So this is going to inform how you're going to caption all of these experiences. So are you more of a verbal processor? Do you like to write things down? Do you prefer to type things? Are you draw? Do you want to use this as a more creative outlet? You can also, it's okay if you don't know the answer to that question as well. So if you're just like, I don't really know, just start with writing it down or typing it out. And I'm going to show you some examples in a minute. Okay, so this is where we get into the meat of this. So you have your first job that you're thinking of, and here are some questions to start answering. I would say always start with the what did you like and what did you dislike about the job? And then as you can go through it, right? And so then if you think about what did you like, expand that out to, how did you feel about your manager? How did you feel about your coworkers, right? Especially having, I would say, coming back to where we are now culturally in the professional space is, did you like being in the office? Did you have flexibility? Did you wish that you had more flexibility in terms of in or out of the office? And then as you see, right, you can go through like, why did you even get this job? Maybe it was just because you had to make money. And then why did you leave, right? I think those two questions as well can be really helpful in both identifying patterns as well as understanding what you're going to look for next. So actually I want to pause here with these questions. I mean, you can read these on your own. So the why, in addition to what I've already said in terms of having clarity, the career mapping tool is going to create the foundation for you to then build on to get more clarity on where you want to go next. And what I mean by that is, as you go through these questions, another thing that I want you to think about are around your professional values. So what are the things that are really important to you, both in how you are treated, how you feel about your job and the work that you do, how you interact with your coworkers, again, thinking about your supervisor. That's going to help you really build out professional values, which will then again inform how you talk about the next job that you want. I'm also curious if there are any other questions that are coming up for you all that maybe I didn't put in here. Is there anything that you think could be really helpful to use as you go through this? So if there are any extra questions that I haven't covered here, please feel free to drop them in the chat. All right. What did you learn from the job? That's awesome. Yes. Thank you for that. Keep them coming. Okay. So these are two examples. One, I took out any identifying factors. So this was a career mapping exercise I did with an alum. So this is doing it with a partner, right? With a coach. So I basically started, I said, all right, tell me about the first job that you had that felt significant to you. And then I went through those questions. What did you like? What did you not like about it? What were another question is like, oh, these are great questions in the chat. You know, what were you really proud of? What felt frustrating? What felt challenging? And so we went through all of these, as you can see, these 3 different jobs. And he actually had more jobs, but from these 2 main roles, he had some clarity in terms of why he was interested in going into medical school, right? And so like what informed him, what was that like impetus to wanting to work with kids, wanting to go to medical school, and then how did it go from there? All right, so the next one is my own, I won't preface it, and here we go. Okay, so I actually did this today. So this was similar to what my first career map looked like, because we did it in a very creative way. I am not a I am a creative person. Here we go. This is it. So as you can see, I'll just walk you through kind of my process. So I used a lot of acronyms because I realized today that most of the places I worked, we just used acronyms. So I started out at the bottom left. Lees-McRae College is where I went to undergrad. And my first job out of college was an admissions counselor. And so for me, my first significant role was right out of college. And so I put the $ because I realized that being as an admissions counselor was sales. Like the muscle that I had to use was sales. I did not like it, nor was I good at it, but I did it for close to a year. I put the little road because it allowed me to do a lot of traveling, which I kind of enjoyed and I kind of didn't enjoy because it was too much travel for me. But what I did enjoy about that admissions role was talking to high school students, getting a sense of what they really liked, and just helping them kind of think through how they're going to make the decision to choose the college that they want. And so then my next one, so I want to both kind of model what this looks like for you. So that's why I'm taking you through this in detail. So then the next one was the UCC, which was the United Church of Christ. That was a disaster recovery organization in New Orleans. So I came to New Orleans, I did some volunteer management, I did some case management for this organization. And I recognized that I loved the volunteer management. I loved interacting with lots of different people. I loved training them, welcoming them. But then I also really enjoyed going out to the houses and meeting the residents, and figuring out what they needed. So it was a combo of like troubleshooting, problem solving, getting to know people, relationship building. But then after a while, I didn't like that it was so redundant. Yes, the people each week were different, but I would say the work kind of got stagnant for me. And so then I moved on. Right. So then I go to Newcomb College Institute. I work with students. Then I'm back in sales because I got a job as a fundraiser. So again, I was like, I'm not good at fundraising. I'm not good at sales. I can talk to people, but I'm not good at the sales piece. And so I would say for me, I learned a ton. I got to meet a bunch of really wonderful women. And I recognized that the thing that I needed to pivot, which is why I absolutely love my job, my current job, is I get to do all of the things that I loved without the fundraising sales piece. And I admire anyone who can do sales. It's just not for me. And that's one of the really beautiful things about this process and this tool is that you both get to identify what you enjoy, what you're good at, and maybe what you're not good at, and just stop finding jobs that involve things that you're not good at, which I know is easier said than done. But and so again, and then at the bottom I put, right, so I really enjoy program development. I love being in relationships, creating new relationships, teaching, and having some creativity around the work that I do. So I would say this is a very basic way of both doing the writing, the typing it out, as well as the creative kind of mapping. And then as you can see, it's the way that I just kind of talked you through my own career map gives me the clarity to identify some patterns. There were some clear aha moments, even for me, right? I'm teaching this tool, but I haven't done it for myself in a while. And I would say at the end of, and I spent 10 minutes on it, right? Typically, I would encourage you to spend a good like 30 to 60 minutes. But even in the short time that I drew out that image that you just saw, at the end, I was like, I really love what I do. And not that I didn't love it 10 minutes ago, but it gave me that clarity and that just groundedness of, I'm doing exactly what I want to do right now. And that's a really good feeling. And sometimes when you do this career map, you get to see, maybe I'm doing some pieces of what I like to do, but I'd like to tweak it a little bit. Okay, so I identified some patterns. I had some aha moments. And then I want to spend a few minutes on this motivated skills piece. So something to think about while you are going through the career mapping tool is, what are some things that you do that you feel like you are really good at, but you don't like doing it? And I would imagine probably in this moment, some things just went off in your brain. And the thing that I want to flag with that is, as you go to the next step after this career mapping tool, as you start to get some more clarity in terms of the next jobs that you want to do, pay attention to those things that you're good at, but you don't like doing, and make sure that they're not on your resume or they're buried on your resume, right? If you're someone who can look at a spreadsheet and analyze the data with your eyes closed, but you hate it, maybe don't look for another job that has that as the main priority. And the reason why I say that, it might sound really obvious, but we just do that, right? It's kind of like, it's a bit of an unconscious thing that we do. So flag the motivated skills piece. And then the last thing is taking this experience and starting to create some career and or job buckets, right? And so I encourage the alums that I work with to think about 3 to 5 jobs that you think you might be interested in. And then kind of go from there. And what I mean by that is start to really think about, like, look at the job descriptions, start to do some networking. We'll do another webinar on kind of the next step after career mapping. But I would say this is the final step in this process. All right. So we are right at the 20-minute mark. This is career mapping. So I encourage you to ask any questions that you might have here. And also take some time to do this for yourself, and then reach out to me if you want to process it. Reach out to friends if you want to just kind of verbally process it with them. All right, so how do we turn skills into job discovery? Okay, just reading the other question too. So how do you turn skills into job discovery? So there are actually there's one particular resource that I really like. It's called ONET. So it's actually a government website. I'm sure onet.org, I think, where you can type in different job skills that you really enjoy, and it will give you some suggestions on specific job titles, job families. I would say another strategy for turning skills into job discoveries is, again, so 2 things. One is, I would say this is where the powerful part of sharing it with other people comes from, because then you can get ideas from them, right? Like, have you ever thought about X, Y, and Z? I can't tell you how many times I've done this exercise with an alum, and I've just very gently said, have you ever thought about teaching or account management within a tech company or something? And they had never thought of it, because, when you're kind of doing these things by yourself, sometimes things get siloed. So I hope that answers your question. I think there was one other thing that I just left my brain, so I will email the other strategy. And then in terms of articles, blogs, and other resources, I will send everyone an email with the recording for this link, and I'll put some resources in there and for like career mapping, job exploration. The other piece is also our YouTube channel. So we have over 50 videos on our YouTube channel. Some of them cover exactly what we talked about today in more detail, right? So job searching, how to use transferable skills to pivot. So I would highly encourage you to check out that YouTube channel. Nina, do you mind dropping that link in one more time? Thank you. Okay, should we do the question exercise for the first job for our most recent job too? Absolutely, yes. Do it for all the jobs, and that's a great question. Definitely for the current job. So I would say too, if you're someone who has had a lot of different jobs, I would say it's totally up to you. You can do it for every single job, or you can do it for the jobs that, again, feel most significant to you. I'm working with an alum who has been at one company for 20 years, but has held multiple jobs. And so that's another experience, right? Like you can still do this and it can be very significant and meaningful even if you've been within one company, or even if you've had one job, and I'm using job as air quotes because I imagine your job has changed over a long period of time, right? Even so, I guess if you've had one job title or two job titles, think about how they've changed over time. Great questions. Okay, let's see. Right, okay, so I hope that answered the question of what if you haven't had too much job experience. The other piece about that, if you've had one or two jobs, think about experiences you've had previous to that first paid job that still had meaning. Did you do volunteer work? Did you have any internships? Did you help a family business, right? Like anything. And if the answer is no to all of those, think about how you like to spend your time, right? So I would say kind of again, one of the underlying themes of career mapping is to get some clarity around what gives you energy, what takes your energy away, what helps you feel just like you have a purpose. So I hope that answers that question. Yeah, okay. Don't know how to because of lack of training. So another question that you can ask in the career mapping exercise is, how would that job look different if you had a mentor, if you had more professional development, if you had a more clear onboarding experience, right? So like, what are the things that you wish that you had in those jobs that would have changed how you felt about it? All right. So again, we are right at 12:25. I wanted to make sure that we kept this under 30 minutes. Please reach out. I will put my email in the chat. You will also get an email from me later today. But please reach out with any questions, any thoughts, any ideas. And I look forward to just hopefully hearing how this goes for you. And I hope this was really helpful today. So thank you, everyone, and enjoy your day.